You don't have to observe my minhag. You don't have to follow me or anything. I just share with you the basic foundation. Everything is energy. When you look at all the crazy stuff going on in the world today, everything is energy. When you look at all the crazy, weird ideas and your Anunnaki stuff, everything is energy. If you are disconnected and living in the prison of your fantasies in your mind, you can believe anything. You can believe God is the devil and devil is God. You can believe in your fantasy Anunnaki. You can believe that all the Jews are causing all kinds of problems in the world and justify going into a synagogue and shooting and murdering people, or into a church, or committing a Holocaust. It's all a matter of the twisted mind. We have to go beyond these things. We have to go into the realm and domain of experience, so that the experience of God is not one of theology, argument, and debate, but one that arises from within and can be experienced without. You see? Reality starts inside and comes outside, rather than the reality from outside goes inside. It's the reverse process. So the experience begins with using the name of God as a meditation device. This is one of the foundational points. It's one of those commandments I said right in the beginning, to bond with God. Bonding with God was actually considered, like I said, one of the 613 commandments, one of the 248 positive commandments. And the way it's done, surprise, surprise, is found right in the code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch itself, right in the first section called Orach Chaim, right in the first siman and the first saif, chapter 1, halacha 1, if you will. Right? Rabbi Moshe Isserles, the famous Rama, brings this down in the name of the Kabbalah, based upon the verse in Psalm 16, verse 8, one of my favorite. Shaviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. I place God before me always. That's not a concept that I just think about God. It means I actually visualize the name of God. The name of God, sorry, my ancient alien friends, is not some fallen Anunnaki guy. The name of God, Yud Ke Vav Ke, comes from the root of the Hebrew verb hoveh, hey, vav, hey, which means to be. You take a root Hebrew verb, you put a prefix, the letter yod. It takes a base verb, which is in the passive tense, and turns it into the active tense. All right? Daber, yidaber, ochel, yuchal, everything, whichever form it is, it takes it from the passive to the active. So God's name, hoveh, means to be. But the yod means being in action. Sentience, consciousness, being, reality. That's the reality of God. It transcends any concept of personality, person, or any of the forms and structures that, as we discussed earlier, we use to have an experience or a mental experience of God as being some kind of, in quote, person. Right? Even Abulafia talks about that. But the, in quote, person that we essentially try to visualize isn't the creator, but a created form, if you will, of the creator, that which we call Metatron. Metatron, I've done a number of classes about what the actual Metatron is. Go onto the YouTube channel, you'll see some of these things. You take some of our courses at our Kosher Torah School, you'll learn more about that in depth. The vision of the, in quote, man on the throne in Ezekiel's chariot. And Rambam got this one very clearly right. Not what we'd call the creator. Creator is what we call the Ein Sof, beyond form of any which way. Being in action. That's not even the ultimate reality of God. That's the revelation of God. Because before God was in action, revealed, God was concealed. So, in the ultimate essence of nature, God is the, in quote, great nothing of the universe. What is nothing? It's some type of something that we can't understand. We go into really deep kind of stuff, and no one can really describe it. So when you go off into the meditational systems in Hinduism and Buddhism, and they try to experience the greatness of nothing, they're touching what we understand as Ein Sof, which in our Kabbalistic tradition is pretty much teaching the same thing. Our paths of practice are radically different. They believe in going up and pretty much staying there. We believe in going up, bringing the light, and bringing it down to expand to this world. So here is that practice that I wanted to share with you. Based upon the halacha, based upon the Shulchan Aruch, based upon the Arizal, It's an old prophetic tradition passed down from the biblical prophets themselves. Again, from my book, Walking in the Fire, page 327. I'm going to show it to you. All right, for those of you who can get that and visualize, I'm trying to get it. Trying to get it all balanced here. You can see before me the name of God. Yud Ke Vav Ke. That is a simple set of vowels. A one dot under the Yud, two dots under the A, and a big, looks like a little T under the Vav. That's what the Vav's called. Chirik, Shva, and Hamatz. You don't have to worry about it. We don't need to study Hebrew. If you know Hebrew and you know what that is, fine and good. Visualizing the letters of God's name, Yud Ke Vav Ke, is a very involved practice. I discuss it in great detail in Walking in the Fire. It's something you might enjoy to read and see for yourselves because it becomes a psychological/spiritual tool of self-exploration. I always tell people, if you have a question in life, you don't know which way to go, which way to turn, what's right, what's wrong, I tell you, go back to God. Take God's name, close your eyes, visualize God's name, and as if you are talking to God, say, show me the way. Show me what's right. What am I supposed to do? What is the right way? And if you visualize God's name and you cultivate a sense of experience, feeling, sensation, somehow in quote, God will talk to you. Now, you're not going to hear little voices in your ear, red rum, crazy stuff. No, you're not going to hear that. But you will feel some type of a sensation, some type of an experience. Let me give you an example, a very famous one I share many a time. Years and years ago when I lived in Chicago, I had a student, and this individual was a prominent professional, and he had a love for Torah, especially Kabbalah, but at the same time he was not religiously observant. He wanted to learn this meditation. I taught him how to use the name of God, just like I'm showing you now. A couple of weeks later, he comes to me angry. He says to me, Rabbi, what did you do to me? I said, what did I do? I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? And he goes, I used to enjoy going out on Friday night, and I would go to my local fish place, and I would eat lobster and all this unkosher food and all the rest, and I'd do whatever I would do with whatever. And he says, now every time I try to do this, this name of God comes popping up into my head, and I feel so ashamed I can't do this. Rabbi, you've taken away my joy in life. I said, I haven't done anything. You asked to connect with God, God speaks to you. And if God tells you that eating non-kosher isn't right for you, well, I guess you got to deal with God about that. He changed his life. Well, thank God for that. So understand that the name of God as being the reality of the universe, as the psychological archetype of the inner essence of all, is a source of power, is real. It is not a theology. It is not a doctrine. It is not something just intellectually applied. It is something experientially guiding your life. So the name of Yud Ke Vav Ke is visualized with a specific set of vowels of the Hebrew word yirah, which means awe or fear of God. All right? So again, just for the camera here, that's page 327 in my book here, Walking in the Fire. The Shulchan Aruch Ramah says that you visualize the name of God before you always. The famous commentary to the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Brura, written by the famous Rabbi Havetz Chaim, writes there this specific technique and teaches in halacha that this is something that everyone should perform regularly. Because when you visualize God's name with this set of vowels, it cultivates within you an expression and an experience of awe. The awe of the presence of God in your personal life. And that is the great secret here. If we really want to build bridges, rather than try to look to external structures, which by definition are mutually exclusive and defy the concept of unity, we have to go inside and recognize that the commonality of all, the source of our human souls, the experience of the actual reality of the singularity, experience personally. And that is the way how to build bridges. That is the way how we create unity. That is the way how we heal souls. That is the way we overcome all of this silly nonsense, whether it be talk of silly Anunnaki or all of these crazy wild beliefs that lead people to radical violence or anything of the kind. We just tell people very simple, sit back, visualize God, and allow God to guide you within. And part of our practice, like when I teach private students, of course, is that we interact in the meditative practice. I ask, what do you see? How does God speak to you? What is God saying? I teach you how to experience things, having actual discussions, if you will, the individual letters of God's name and the personification thereof. And these things take on a life of their own. This is part of the personal instructions and guidance I give to the individual students of our Kosher Torah School. So for those of you who want to, become a member of our school and join us and have access to our regular classes, and of course have personal access with me, where I can work with you on a regular personal basis. I work with the men. My new rabbinite works with the women. That's just the way it works. And as doing so, we cultivate the experience, the power of the reality of things that each and every one of us, in my opinion, it should be everyone's opinion, needs to know and see for oneself. It's not enough that we sit and argue and debate on all the things that we cannot prove or disprove. What we need is experience to know and see from within. That is what bonding with God means. That is how we use the name Yud Ke Vav Ke as a tool. And of course, there are many other names. You go into the Merkabah traditions, and it states that there are 70 names of God, 70 names of Metatron. What are all these mystical, magical names? If I recite all these names, will mystical magic happen? Yeah, sure. You believe in mystical magic? Go recite all your names. Right? You want all the names, the 42-letter name, the 72-letter name, you want all the vowels? I'll give you all the vowels. I'll tell you the names of all the angels. Go recite them until your face turns blue. Think something's going to happen? Magic, hocus pocus? What can I say? Silly foolishness. What it means when it says God has 70 names is going back to the teachings of the prophet Malachi. That God, the ultimate reality, is known, each by a different name, in all of our different cultures. And because it's a commonality of the universality, of the reality of our human experience, we use the metaphor of saying God has 70 names. 70 is just a number, a symbolic number. Everyone has access to this truth because it's a part of our human reality. It's part of that which bonds and unites us together. So regardless of whatever your background, this is the path to build the bridges. For those who seek external platonic facades and live by the superficialities of this world, no. If you don't look within, then you never get deep. And you have all these people who are so disconnected and lost today that all they care about is eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. Right? These are the hedonists among us. You can't talk to them about death because they have no depth. They don't want that. They're terrified and fearful of death. When the time comes, the powers that be in this universe will move their souls too, maybe in the next lifetime or 2 or 3 or 4, but somehow we all come around to it. We all come around to looking to the great depths. And as we explore them, we discover we all individually have a path to that truth. No one is ever lost forever. No one is ever disconnected forever. You can't be. If you were, you would cease to exist. But the active being, the reality of the universal sentient mind, consciousness, which we call Yud Ke Vav Ke, is always there within every element and aspect of our experience. So, seek this out within yourself. You can read within my book the words that I write. But even a point that Rabbi Nachman of Breslov writes in his Likutei Moharan, it's not so much the words on the page that matter. It's living them. He gives the example, if you have to go to the Rav, and the Rav teaches you personally. Because it's that personal interaction which takes the words on the page and brings them to life in your heart and soul. I'm trying to do that with you right now through this video presentation. As I'm speaking to you right now, right, Rabbi is sitting here over on the side, she's listening. I'm thinking of you here as I am looking right into my little camera. I can't read your notes and comments because of the way it was set up here. But I'm thinking of you. I'm feeling you. I'm experiencing you because we are connected at a higher level. And as thoughts pop into my mind, pop, 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 like popping popcorn, maybe it's the same thought that's popping into your head. And how somewhere, at some manner, our minds connect. I'm thinking, maybe here, maybe there, maybe this needs to be said, maybe that needs to be said. And you let the flow go by. That was the original intent of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov when he was teaching how you go to the living tzaddik. Not that I'm a tzaddik, I'm tzadok, not tzaddik, play on my name, but on a serious note. You got to go beyond the lesson of the words of the page and make them real within you. This is what I offer you. This is what our school is here for. Get my book, Walking in the Fire, Amazon.com. We have classes coming up in the Etz Chaim. It's going to be fun stuff. I'm going to reveal to you a lot of really cool stuff in that. Alien Con, 18 coming up. Aliens, Angels, and Demons I'll have there. Probably be signing autographs and all the rest of that stuff on Sunday. Of course, you can't sign autographs on Shabbat, but we will be there anyway. So look, guys, we kind of ran out of time. I hope that you will take this seriously. For Shvitis, you can go onto my website, koshertorah.com. I have those which are available there, which you can, print out from there, all nice fancy forms and, put them on walls and visualize. Remember the presence of God around us always. Experience it. Let's make a difference in this world. Come on. You want to talk about fighting evil? Really? Then let's make a difference. Instead of embracing all this evil, how about embracing good? Instead of running away from darkness, how about pushing out light? You really want to make a difference? Or what this guy did in Pittsburgh? Make a difference. Shine light. Not by doing little superficial platonic stuff, which has no depth. Do something that has depth. Connect with the universal source. Build the bridges between all of our communities. Make it real. We do this, God be willing, we're going to do something really great. So on that note, let me conclude here. I want to thank you all for joining me. Again, I'm your host, Ariel Bar-Tzadok from the Kosher Torah School, koshertorah.com. Looking forward to seeing you in our future classes here on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else online. See you all soon. God bless. Shalom.
I am running late.